I know, we're talking about the same stuff again, but this one kind of has just a little bit of a different twist. So, Valerie Jarrett is a name that you might not know, but she was de facto the information keeper for the Barack Obama administration. She was the lady you had to go through in order to seek an audience with Black Jesus, right? Okay, you had to go through her. She screened all of the information that went into the Oval Office and all of the messaging that came out of it. She was incredibly important, and if you don't know her name, she does deserve a deep dive in the future, but feel free to just take a look at everything that she has been responsible for when it comes to responses and when it comes to setting up different meetings for the people involved with the Barack Obama administration. She is a very powerful person, and she still has the ear of many of the people that are there because, frankly, they never left. And what she's saying here, Valerie Jarrett, I'm all for vaccine mandates. Time for us to take a firm measure. Oh, right. You guys remember when it was just in the previous video there? Oh, those mean Republicans, they don't need to be telling people. They don't need to be shifting blame. Meanwhile, Democrats like Valerie Jarrett can come out and say, yeah, I'm for vaccine mandates. Yeah, nothing wrong with that whatsoever. Okay, here we go. Former Obama advisor Valerie Jarrett said Friday on MSNBC's Andrea Mitchell reports that she supported coronavirus vaccine mandates. Why? For a fucking virus that has a 99.7% recovery rate? Whatever. What the fuck ever. Jarrett said, I'm all for mandating it. I know in this country it's hard to mandate things. I think what we can do is say, look, if you want them to make their own decisions, fine. But that's not on the table anymore. We're going to tell them what to do because we're smarter than you. Oh, she didn't say that part. That's just what was running through her mind at the time. But we're not going to let you come to sporting events or schools, Mitchell asked. What about mandating it for healthcare workers, like what France is doing? And that's working out infinitely well for them. Probably talk about that tomorrow. We'll see. Jarrett said, absolutely, I'm all for mandates, particularly for people who are interfacing with the public. You know, the people who have already had it, the people who would have the mythical natural immunity to it because they have the antibodies in their system. But no, make sure that they get the jab as well. Why? It's not for their benefit. We've seen the studies. When you get reinfected after you've already been infected with it without having the jab or anything, your symptoms are so much milder the second time around if you're likely to get it again. It's just, I'm not finding a whole hell of a lot of reports out there, and I'm not saying that they don't exist, of people who have had it before and then getting reinfected, okay? There's a couple of cases out there, but in the grand scheme of things, because what are we reaching at this point? Are we getting close to 1 billion cases worldwide? I don't know. Frankly, I don't really care at this point. Everybody's fucking done with this stuff. It's just the aftermath, because they're still trying to cling on to their power, and now they're just trying to institutionalize it, okay? They want to be able to tell you what to do, where to go, and if you aren't going to follow their rules, they're going to make a life for you a living hell. A living hell. But yeah, let's just run this back for a second. So for our public health workers, of course, they should be vaccinated, the words of Jarrett, not myself. And for people working in our restaurants, of course, they should be vaccinated. Oh, you know, all the plebs, all of the help out there, make sure they get the jab because I don't want to get sick. Ugh. They should be vaccinated. I take a pretty hard line in terms of these mandates. This is disgusting. Disgusting. She added, we're saying if you want to be a part of society, our responsibility is to keep as healthy as possible. Take the vaccine. Oh my God. Oh, what's the difference between shifting blame to unvaccinated people to saying, yeah, if you're vaccinated, you can be a part of society? It's uniparty in action. There it is. There it is. Mitchell asked, what do you think about what the NFL is doing? Jarrett said, I'm all for it. I agree with the doctor. Mandate it. But short of that, you have to create both carrots and sticks. I wish you would sit on both of them. Yeah, we touched on this yesterday, right? So you had DeAndre Hopkins and you had a couple of other NFL stars out there just voicing and then kind of recoiling from their initial statements, but the sentiment lingers and the ideas are probably theirs, but then they were told by their team or somebody else to remove the tweets, or maybe they were just removed by the helpful people at Twitter. We'll never know. We'll never really find out. And, well, the draconian policies that are put in place by the NFL are fairly steep. For a major corporation, at least making their COVID policy public, it looks to be the most restrictive. It is basically telling you to get the jab. Otherwise, not just you anymore is going to have to suffer with jumping through a hell of a lot more hoops, daily testing, wearing masks, traveling on different buses than the rest of your team. Now, it's going to include, okay, yeah, if you end up popping, if you're not vaccinated, if you are vaccinated, don't worry about it, that's fine. You're going to have to produce 2 negative tests on corresponding days, one after another. And if you can't do that, you're going to have to quarantine for 10 days. So that means you can miss 2 games. And if you're not going to be there for the games, you're going to forfeit your paychecks, which is retarded, okay? Because through no action of your own, you fail a sketchy ass test. And then you're out, 6, 7 digits? Oh yeah, and then add on to that, if for any reason that your team cannot make a scheduled game, your entire team gets penalized with a loss. Because yeah, you might be healthy, you might be asymptomatic, i.e. healthy, your team loses that game. So yeah, they're just trying to institutionalize this collectivist mindset where, oh, okay, everything is supposed to be foundational around the individual, right? Yeah, no. Guess what? We're going to appeal to everybody's sense of wanting to keep their family, their community together and safe. Yeah, we're just going to go ahead and weaponize that feeling. And if you don't like it, tough titties. So to save everybody going over that again, I'll probably have one of those goofy little iCards up top, or you can just go and take a look back at yesterday's video that has DeAndre Hopkins in the thumbnail. We went over the entire policy. It is really stupid. But it didn't take that long because it's claimed its first victim. Vikings assistant coach out after refusing COVID-19 vaccine. Yup, he's only been with the Vikings for a very long time. He didn't want to get it, so he quit. He wasn't fired or anything. I've seen that floated around as well. It's not quite to that point yet, but it's going to be starting to come down from the top. Some of these owners, if they have to start forfeiting games because some of their players, some of their coaches don't want to get the jab for whatever reason, because, I don't know, most of the athletes are between the ages of 25 and 40, that demographic that has pretty good numbers in their favor. Yeah, if they don't want to get this most safe and secure vaccine of all time, if they don't want to follow by these de facto protocols, well, I could see the owners or maybe the general manager starting to take exception to anybody's hesitancy and start implementing their own rules and regulations, because my private business can do whatever it wants, right? Longtime NFL assistant is now out of a job after refusing to receive the coronavirus vaccine. I'm tired of all these different names. I'd like to say something else, but sometimes jokes will get your channel struck. Rick Dennison, one of the most highly reputed offensive minds in the game, reportedly parted ways with the Vikings on Friday after refusing to receive the coronavirus vaccine. According to league rules, all Tier 1 personnel, including coaches, are required to receive the vaccine or provide religious and/or medical reasons for why they cannot. And sometimes those reasons and those excuses, including, I seen a little story, there was a college girl who has a fairly rare and very serious health conditions. She had a medical exemption, and then her school wouldn't take it, and then she ended up losing her scholarship over it, which seems fair and honest, right? So they're just going to go ahead and adhere to these self-imposed rules, right? Fucks no. Philip Rauschner has been promoted from assistant offensive line coach to fill Dennison's position, according to ESPN. The Vikings also hired Ben Steele, who had recently been hired by Auburn as a special teams assistant to fill a position Rauschner held since 2019. Dennison's departure comes at a time of transition for the Vikings offense. Way to cloud it, ESPN. God, you guys suck. Which will be guided by first-year offensive coordinator Clint Kubiak, who was promoted this offseason to fill the role his father Gary, held in Minnesota during the 2020 season. Dennison has spent 27 years coaching in the NFL, the last 2 with the Vikings. The Vikings report to training camp on Wednesday. So are we going to see more people drop by the weekend? Who knows? Okay. And to be fair, this guy's been an assistant. He's been a coach in the league for 27 years. He's probably fairly well off, and I thank him for standing his ground, because the Vikings are definitely on the come up, and they're in a interesting division, to say the least. There's a lot of open room there, and they look to be the front runners, depending on what happens with Green Bay, and depends on how bitchy Aaron Rodgers wants to be. But yeah, they're either going to finish first or second in the division. So yeah, he's losing out on the potential of a pretty decent run ahead of him for the Vikings. But yeah, okay, you're probably thinking, yeah, this is the NFL. They're already woke and they're already trash, and it's like fair, and that's a fair point. No lies detected. How's this going to affect the regular people? How's that going to circle back to Valerie Jarrett's comments that, yeah, sometimes you need to develop a carrot and a stick? Well, the NFL has a two-tiered class system, and so does the Vancouver Airport. Don't worry, this idiocy is not just specific to the United States. Oh, no. Canada's just coming out and fucking doing it. I don't know what's gonna happen, but I know I'm gonna be leaving. I don't know how I'm gonna be leaving. I don't know how it's gonna be possible. I hopefully don't have to escape a work camp, but we'll see where this goes, because this just happened. Vancouver Airport segregates passengers by vaccination status. Compound that with all the different rhetoric about shifting blame, about providing accurate information because we're the government and we're here to help, and then saying, oh, there's only a specific group right now that should be forced to be vaccinated. That's always where it starts. It's always where it starts. Where it ends? In the 50s, you had segregated water fountains, and in not 30 years prior, but 70 years in the future, you have segregated airport lines. This isn't photoshopped. This is real. It's being reported by a lot of people, not being disputed by a fucking soul. Like it says here, this is in Vancouver, so it's pretty fucking obvious, honestly. Vaccinated passengers, passengers non-vaccinated, and then a whole bunch of Chinese letters. Just letting us know our fate, I suppose. And then fully vaccinated passengers, and the picture that I seen when I seen this still circulated earlier, it looks like there's some hoops that need to be going through for the vaccinated passengers. Meanwhile, fully vaccinated passengers can just walk straight through. Remember, guys, no vaccine passports in Canada, right? Yeah? Right? Cool. Vaccinated and unvaccinated passengers arriving on international flights from YVR will now be asked to stand in separate lines. Vancouver International Airport has installed new signs in its international arrival halls directing passengers into two lineups, one for those who are vaccinated and one for those who are not. And just so everybody else knows, Vancouver International is one of 5 major airports that are allowing people to come in from other places around the world right now. It's Vancouver, Calgary, Toronto, I know that, Montreal, and one other one. There's just a handful of places, but if the signs are going up in Vancouver, oh, they're going up everywhere else. Obviously, it's the same regulatory body that's put these up, so don't expect any sort of special treatment. You might get it in Quebec, because that's a fucking place that just burned to the ground. But yeah, read for you guys, except for I'm not fluent in Mandarin yet. First it'll be enforced vaccinations, then it'll be enforced Mandarin. Messages on the sign were written in English, French, and Chinese. According to the Toronto Sun, a spokesperson for YVR stated that the splitting of the passengers into different lines is because of the process for vaccinated and unvaccinated travelers is very different. Yes, you get little badges if you're unvaccinated, noting that the change came about as a result of Trudeau's government decision to remove mandatory hotel quarantine requirements. Yeah, if you have the jab, you don't have to stay in a 3-day quarantine. Is that what they dropped it now because of our benevolent leaders not making you stay in a $2,000 per stay 2-week mandatory quarantine where definitely horrific actions were taking place? Oh, this place is so fucking retarded. However, the Sun's Joe Warmington, tweeted that he is hearing that Toronto Airport has the same signs and the airport is working on a statement. Yeah, well, that's what it is at the time of recording. I didn't read that ahead, but yeah, obviously I fucking philosophized that exact same thing. It's like, okay, yeah, if this is international travel, of course the same signs are going to be going into the same airports that are going to be there. But that's how it always starts. First, it's at the only hubs that are open to international travel, and then it comes to your local little fucking jalopy hop. I so desperately wanted to go to Vegas in a couple of weeks, but it just really ain't going to be happening now, is it? Well, perhaps I'll just hop in my vehicle and just fucking fill it full of gas and then just ran through the border to the south. Fuck it. With that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.